Hi everybody, my name is Kent Stewart with Insurance Professionals of Arizona. I'm a certified insurance counselor here in Mesa, Arizona. I've been consulting people in regards to their insurance for about 15 years now. I wanted to prepare this video today to talk a little bit about the auto insurance policy and the different sections of the auto policy and why you might consider how you're covered and if you're covered properly. I'm going to zoom out the camera here so you can see my board a little bit better, and we'll talk a little bit about these categories. Hopefully you can see this on the video, but I'll talk about it so that if you can't see it, you can at least hear what I'm saying. The first section of your auto insurance policy is the liability section. This section of the policy is required by the state of Arizona that you carry this coverage in order to be registered and drive your vehicle around. The reason it's the only part that's required by the state is because it's the part that protects all the other drivers on the road against you. If you're to cause an accident and you cause bodily injury or property damage to somebody else, which you're held legally liable for, your liability section of your auto policy will pay. Within the liability, you have different limits that you can set on your policy. The state only requires a minimum of $15,000 per person for bodily injury, with a $30,000 aggregate limit for bodily injury, and $10,000 for property damage. This means if you cause an accident and one of the people in the vehicle is injured, the most your auto liability will pay if you have state minimum liability limits for bodily injury is $15,000. Okay, that's not very much. That can go really quickly. We recommend that you carry a minimum of 100, 300, 100 limits on your auto policy. Even that's really not enough. That would be a minimum. The state minimum just is really quite silly. It's not even close to being enough insurance. The $10,000 for property damage, if you hit a $50,000 BMW or $80,000 Mercedes-Benz, the most your policy is going to pay if you have the state minimum of $10,000 is $10,000. Well, that doesn't pay for the $50,000 BMW that you destroyed. What happens then? You're held legally liable for that $40,000. It goes to court, you get sued. If a judgment is made against you, your wages can be garnished and so forth. It doesn't cost a whole lot to increase these limits. Again, we recommend $100,000 per person for bodily injury, $300,000 aggregate for bodily injury, and $100,000 for property damage. The $300,000 aggregate means if there's more than one person in the car, you pay up to $100,000 for this person, $100,000 for this person, $100,000 for this person. Your policy caps at $300,000. So if it goes over that, again, you could have a gap in coverage. For more information on that, contact me, and I'm happy to talk to you more about liability. Again, that's the part that's required by the state. Let's move on to section number 2. A lot of times we hear people say, I have full coverage on my auto insurance. Well, there's no such thing. I kind of cringe when I hear somebody say that, because there's no such thing as full coverage. And number 2, even if we could cover everything, the rates would be so astronomical nobody could afford it. So insurance never covers everything. There's no such thing as full coverage. But physical damage is usually what people are talking about, from my experience, when they talk about full coverage. And there's 2 parts to the physical damage of your vehicle. Let me go back one second. The liability portion of your policy is what protects everyone else. Okay? You buy liability to protect everybody else on the road around you. Okay? Number 2, physical damage. This is what protects your car. Collision is exactly that. If you collide with another object, could be another vehicle, could be a stationary object like a telephone pole, a fire hydrant, a light pole, whatever. You collide with that, damages to your car, it's covered under collision, subject to your deductible, whatever that may be. $500 or $1,000 is pretty typical. This other part, we usually have called that comprehensive coverage, would be, I like the term other than collision. So pretty much everything other than collision would be under the comprehensive part. Again, it can't cover everything, but it would cover things such as fire, theft, vandalism, a tree or other falling object falls on your vehicle and damages it. That's going to be other than collision. It wasn't a collision. It would be covered under your comprehensive part of your policy. Again, subject to your deductible, typically $500 or $1,000. So this protects your car. Now, the part of the auto policy that I think a lot of people neglect to really consider is the most important part: under and uninsured motorist coverage. Why is this the most important part of the policy in my opinion? Because this is what protects you as the driver of your vehicle. So let's say the statistics say that 1 in 5 cars in Arizona is under or uninsured. Actually uninsured. 1 in 5 cars is uninsured. Probably means most cars are underinsured when it comes to the liability that they have. If you get hit in an accident, or it's a hit and run, you don't know who hit you, they took off after they left the scene of a crime and left, or they didn't have enough insurance, how do you get paid for your lost wages, your time off work, your pain and suffering, all those kinds of things? Remember, these other things cover other people and your car. Under and uninsured motorist is what covers you. I'm always surprised when somebody chooses to have none of this coverage or less of this coverage, because basically what it's saying is you would rather protect everybody else more than you'd rather protect yourself. And this coverage is very affordable. We recommend you carry at least the same amount as your liability. So if you have 100, 300 limits over here, you should carry 100, 300 limits on your under and uninsured motorist. So if somebody's carrying the liability of $15,000 and your injuries are more than $15,000, then it can be picked up under your underinsured motorist coverage up to the limits, whatever you have on your policy. Again, for more details, or if you'd like to have your policy reviewed to see if you have sufficient coverage, or if we can improve your situation and give you better coverage at a better rate, as independent brokers, we can shop the market for you, find you the best coverage and the best price. Plus, knowledge is key. We've been practicing insurance for over 15 years. As a certified insurance counselor, I'm uniquely qualified to discuss your insurance needs with you, and I would love that opportunity to sit down with you to do so. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you found it useful, and we'll talk to you in the next segment. Thank you.